Hello everyone, my name is Grayson and welcome to the first video in a series I'm probably going to be doing off and on Deep Rock Galactic. Now Deep Rock Galactic, as you might be able to tell if you know anything about the game by my player level, this is actually maybe my favorite game just of all time. Now the guide that I wanted to make today is specifically about playing as the engineer and being the class that is all about area control. And I'm going to make my arguments while we're watching a mission that I went on very recently of just a general mining mission, and I play as the engineer, and I'm going to demonstrate in there, and I'm going to do voiceover for that part. I'm going to demonstrate how the engineer is the class of area control. So this is actually live right now. What I wanted to do really quickly is show the equipment that I like to use for my engineer. I know some of you, if you're Deep Rock fans, you may have differing opinions on this, and that's totally fine. So I want to take a second to take a look at the loadouts that I have for the engineer. So I have a build for the SMG, I have a build for the Warthog, and I have a build for the Lock 1 Smart Rifle. This is my build of choice. I absolutely love this gun. I have it built in a way that it is good at locking on, it penetrates armor, and it never misses. I find that to be a very useful way to be able to lock on to enemies and still get to safety while doing maximum damage. They also electrocute when they take multiple bullets, so that's very helpful. The electrocution does a little bit of damage over time and slows them. I'm not going to go super far into detail with these. With the deep core, I do love the breach cutter, but the deep core is my favorite because I love the grenade launcher. Like, I love the explosions, and it's really fun. I actually use a slightly controversial overclock here. I use the compact rounds. I know this one does a little bit less AoE, but you get a lot more ammo, and I like using that ammo. I like feeling like I can use a grenade launcher round on only a few bugs and still get a lot of value out of it. So I really quite enjoy using this. Other than that, I have it so that it breaks armor and it does extra damage on impact, so I can target things like Praetorians, crack the armor off, and still do pretty decent damage. I use the Lmg Gun Platform, and I will explain a little bit more about this when we get in. But there's a couple different ways people build this. I prefer a single long-range turret that shatters armor. I like to set it up in the middle of a room and have it be an early warning system, and also be able to tell it to target certain things like spitters on the ceiling or some high-value target like a Praetorian coming in from the side. So I do like the idea that this gun doesn't waste any ammo shooting at things that it can't break the armor through, oppressors being the one exception. Use the platform gun, of course, with the shock-absorbing compound that reduces fall damage. This is the most important upgrade for probably any of the engineer's gear. This is a very important upgrade right here. So with that, I want to take us into the voiceover for the mission that I'm going to be on, and I will show you some different examples of how there's some general gameplay tips, but also sort of how the engineer can be used as the best area control class in the game. So with that, let's go on into the mission. Make sure you give your allies a rock and stone, very important. This is a Has-5 mining mission with the low oxygen modifier. If you're not familiar with that, it means that you have an oxygen meter. It just popped up there on the screen. You need to pick up oxygen every once in a while from the molly or resupply pod. Now, what I want to point out here is that one of the most important things you do as an engineer when you walk into a new room, and I haven't done it here until now, is look around the room, find anything that might need a platform on it, and go ahead and plop that down for your scout to go and grab stuff.
Platform up, eliminated.
So here I'm throwing flares up as high as I can on the ceiling. I'm sort of searching for anything. Okay, so here I find a spitball infector, ping it, and then what I can do is I can lock on and then get out of range of the spitballer and even shoot it through the walls because this ammo on this gun does not miss if you have it modded the way I do. So here I'm going to run in, notice some bugs, I'm going to start locking on. And here I think, okay, it's time to build my turret. But notice that what happens is the bugs start getting pretty close to me. You do not want to continue building your turret. You want to abandon that if you're not going to be able to build it. The turret does not do enough damage to justify you standing there building it. And now we have a swarm coming in, so I've decided to build my turret here after all. And it's going to serve as an early warning system for me. It's going to point me in the direction of the bugs. I'm going to use my deep core to take out clumps of them. Go ahead and platform this up for the scout for later. So I'm going to stand back here and try to help control the battlefield a little bit. I'm going to try to keep my eye on the area behind us. The engineer doesn't have the mobility tools in combat that, say, the scout does, and it doesn't have the defensive capabilities of the gunner with the shield. I'm going to keep my ammo up on my turret, but only if I can refill it safely. I'm going to keep checking behind me here. Spitball Infector has been activated. I'm going to go try to help out with this. I see bugs coming in on my ally here. There's a leech over there on the ceiling that I didn't notice at this point, but I will soon. Now, the engineer's turret is wonderful for dealing with swarmers. The engineer and the driller are your best friends. If you've got a swarm of swarmers, run to your driller, run to your engineer. They're going to protect you. The turret will one-shot them and will automatically and quickly and accurately target these bugs. So the engineer, more so than most of the other classes, prefers to pick one spot and stay there. So you'll notice that sometimes, even if my allies have fled the area, I will actually stay and continue defending right where I was. So here I warn my allies. I heard some bugs coming. I'm going to go ahead and plop a explosive mine here. This is a fantastic tool for the engineer. Highly recommend this. Used to use the plasma burster, but I do think that it's way better.
Don't waste your ammunition! Move, baby! Go on! The air in this cave is perfect! Molly, come here!
Here we've headed back to spawn because we have located a helmet, a lost gear helmet. I have everything at this point, so I don't go over there to pick it up. But on our way out, we get another swarm. So I immediately start building my turret. We want this out as soon as possible. It is an early warning system. I'm going to go ahead and plop a defensive mine over there on the entrance. And then I identify a couple other locations where I think bugs are likely to come towards us from. They like crawling down the walls. You can see there, we ordered in ammo, and I immediately cover up that hole with the platforms. The bugs do like to spawn in those little holes up above. So if you cover those with the platforms, they can't come in that way. Here I'm sort of keeping an eye on the area behind us. I have a big advantage if they're in tight spaces because of all my explosives. You can see there, I very carefully target the very edge of the terrain because I don't want the grenade to fly. I don't want to miss and have the grenade launcher fly right past them and hit a wall behind them and do nothing. There I notice another hole in the ceiling. Go ahead and plug that up just in case. I want them spawning in predictable locations, not in tunnels above us that we can't see. Here I'm checking to see if any of my explosive mines have not been used so I can retrieve them. They do have 4 or 5 charges. I don't remember. I think it's 4 charges they can explode. So they're very, very helpful. So here, this one can be retrieved. I'm going to go ahead and grab this one now because the swarm's about over. I don't want to waste it. We don't need it at this point.
Getting more ammo! Getting supplies! Getting more ammo!
Clump of bugs just crawling along the ground at us.
Reloading!
I'm going to grab a Steve. It's a really good perk for the engineer. It gives you more area control, more stalling tactics. The guard with the extra health works totally fine. The slasher does a lot more damage. Generally, I'd probably recommend the slasher, but the grunt works perfectly fine. The grunt guard, that is. These goo bombers are sort of your worst enemy when you have this loadout because they're such bullet sponges. This gun does not have a ton of ammo. Sometimes I'll knock down some of the red sugar as we go, just so that if we need it, it's easier to just run over it than try to mine it. You do want to leave some of it up on the ceiling, though, because it's easier to spot that way. So here somebody has located a spitballer. I'm going to go around, use my platform to reduce fall damage to just about nothing. Always check the ceiling for leeches. Kill these stupid cactuses. They're fun to listen to them blow up. So here's something important. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plop a platform here because I like that my turret is more elevated this way. This will give it a better angle on a bunch of the areas in this room. And now it's going to help me with this spitballer. Unfortunately, a spitballer started shooting one of my allies, so that was a little bit of a mistake there. But here now it's locked onto me, and I can easily dodge its shots at this range.
Team Rock seriously need to invest in some
Running out of air. Really stressful warning if you haven't done this one before. So here I'm just platforming up some random stuff just in case. My turret alerts me to the fact that things are coming in. Again, that really powerful area control. The turret is a great early warning system. It tells you when and where you're being attacked. And here's where I'm getting a lot of value out of that massively increased ammo capacity I have on the grenade launcher. Especially with this Lock 1 gun that does kind of have low ammo. So here again, early warning system. My turret has told me that yet another giant pack of Mactera is coming in. These little shockers are an absolute nightmare because they slow. So when you see them, it's best to sort of back away and take them out as you go because you will lose your mobility. The turret's great, again, for those same reason as the swarmers, because they just lock on instantly, they one-shot them, they're fantastic.
I'm taking some of the ammo.
Here we're grabbing some ammo, and I immediately start looking for a defensive location upon hearing that there's a swarm coming. So I see this nice little nook. I start throwing mines around the walls, and I'm going to slap my turret somewhere where it won't have a great range of the room, but will be able to protect just sort of this angle that I can see. So this turret's less about an early warning system, more about protecting. Here I'm going to retrieve my mines and replace them because I do not like how close they are to me. I think that they should be a little bit further out, so I start plopping them elsewhere. So you can see now with my back to the wall over here in this little nook and my turret and my mines, I'm extremely safe. As long as those mines are up, my turret has ammo, and I'm standing there, I will not get hit by stuff. The bugs will not make it to me. Here I unfortunately have to go out a little bit to get some air here. There we go. The mine's doing some work keeping my flanks secured.
The last of the wave is approaching you now. Keep it together.
With this particular loadout, it's best if I kind of hang back. I can do the best work possible by being back here. First of all, everybody else is out in the front. Their flanks are secure. They don't really, I don't know how actively they're thinking about this, but nothing's coming from behind them because I have that area completely covered with mines, my turret, and myself. Plus, I can use platforms to strategically sort of block things off.
Access provided. Oh yeah.
Here I notice a Praetorian mucking about, so I'm going to go ahead and plop this turret here on the edge so it can reach down. This will help out quite a bit. It'll also start warning me if there's anything else around. I'm going to try to shred some of his armor off with this deep core so other people can hit it more effectively. Got some little spawny guys in here. Another Praetorian. So here I can use the platforms to reduce fall damage to get way down here really quickly. I'm really bad against this. I just don't have the tools to kill this Glyphid Nexus very easily, so I'm just going to kind of abandon that for a second. Here we're going to revive when we accidentally aggro a Spitballer. But not too bad. We still have this thing to deal with, but again, it's hard for me. Now, I place my turret here to help shoot this, and then to help shoot the little glyphids that spawn when it blows up, but this is generally a pretty terrible spot for the gun. Like, I'm going to want to move it as soon as this is done, because it can't see, you know, 2/3 of the room from the area I placed it.
It's protecting the pack.
Taking wardens out quickly is important because they will spawn enemies. Here you can see I just barely don't make it in time before it starts spawning things. Rather than stay and fight, I'm going to retreat back to my turret and my friends here because that was too many bugs up close and I just don't kill things very quickly unless I want to blow them up, but of course I'll hit myself. Make sure to always slay the loot bugs to get the juicy goodies inside.
Let's get the minerals.
Contact. We got 4, wait, 6, no, 12. A lot of aliens heading your way.
So here I'm kind of looking around thinking, all right, where do I want to set up for this?
That guy in mission control, he really has a cozy job.
I'm going to put a couple of mines out where I think the bugs are most likely to arrive. See, they're actually coming from over to the side here, which I didn't really expect. I'm going to put my turret a little bit back further again so it can cover the flanks. And then I see that they're actually coming up over the ledge right there, so I'm going to plop a third grenade down. Usually don't like to use up more than 2 grenades in a swarm just because you only get 2 back when you resupply. So I try to use 2 at a time, but here I felt like them popping up over the edges like that, it was a little bit too much of a surprise, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. Deep core is great for getting bugs off of the enemies when they're, getting the bugs off your friends when they're down. You just blast them with grenade launcher shells until they all disperse.
Who's gonna protect you now, we crawling comet?
The wave is significantly diminished. Well done, team.
So here's an oppressor. Now you can see I can actually harm the oppressor from the front because I have these special shells that go through armor and never miss. So it's a very nice benefit to be able to actually hit oppressors with this gun. So that's a huge problem with most weapons for most characters is you can only harm the oppressor from his vulnerable little butt on the back. But with me, I can just target him from any direction and do full damage.
Getting more ammo. Ready to do some more crates. Oh yeah.
So here we're trying to figure out how to get out of this giant room. Driller's going to go ahead and make us a tunnel here. And here I can hear bugs, but I assume it's just a couple. Okay, sounds like a few more bugs. And I look down and I see that there's actually quite a few bugs coming. Was an unannounced swarm here, like a mini swarm. So here I'm like, oh my god, we are in trouble. We've got our back to this wall. I don't have anything set up, so we're in a bit of trouble. Fortunately, Gunner plops down the shield, and we're able to get a second to deal as much damage as possible while from safety of the shield. Or I target the wall with that deep core shot because I'm trying not to injure any of us with the explosive, but still hit the bugs as best as I can. Swarm seems like it's about done here, but I put the turret down anyway because, again, it's going to help pick off the stragglers, especially like acid spitters or web spitters, and it's also going to help us as an early warning system against anything that we missed. Here we're headed down a tunnel when we get another swarm, so I'm going to go ahead and plot my turret up on this little hill here. This gives it a great view of each of these directions. There, and there, which I'm also going to mine up.
Just take your sweet time, old lady. I've got all day.
Then I noticed that there's actually a hole right there. And unfortunately, I have to use a third one because I don't know where the bugs are going to come from. You can always retrieve those mines if they don't get used. You can see these Mactera even are activating the mines. I go ahead and plug these holes up here. We don't need any bugs coming from there. That would be actually extremely bad. It's a really, really bad spot for them to start coming out of the ceiling. So my allies are kind of running around just fighting wherever they want to, but I'm going to try to stay put. And you'll see this is going to be one of the first times I have to abandon my position. Hitting him in the butt a couple of times, and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. So I'm going to head back up to my turret, but notice that it's kind of getting overrun.
Incoming enemies is practically eradicated, and you're still alive. Well done.
So I think I have to abandon this position here. I can't actually defend here anymore. So I'm just going to fully abandon the position. I'm going to recall my turret and prepare to build it over here and just set up a new defense from the side. One important thing you need to understand about playing the engineer and using the turret is know when to build the turret and when not to. Building the turret takes a long time. Getting value out of the turret as opposed to using your own primary weapon takes a long time. So when in doubt, don't build the turret, just help your friends with your regular gun. It's way faster, it's way more effective. The turret is a long-term solution as well as an extra sort of scouting mechanism. Here I'm struggling to get over this small ledge. I'm sure you all know what that's like.
Platform loose.
Donkey, come here.
I'm gonna go into this room and I'm gonna start immediately platforming as many things as I can for the scout's benefit. Here I notice a great position for my turret, actually right here on the edge, so it can see most of the room, have a good vantage point. But I kind of put it on the edge, so I'm actually going to break my own platform down so that the turret can see better. I'm going to run back a little bit, let the turret do the work against these swarmers that have spawned.
God damn it, there's a pebble in one.
See, my turret's just doing work over there, just picking things off slowly, shredding some armor off of all the different bugs.
Found some nitra. Oh, I can't breathe. Platform.
So here I see this spooky little crevice light up the ceiling, and aha, I notice a leech. Very important to keep those ceilings lit up.
Scanners just picked up a swarm of livid grunts heading your way. There's a lot of them.
So here we go, another swarm. This has 5, so we're getting quite a bit of swarms. It's a great spot for a mine right there, and I think, oh, that looks like a good spot for bugs to crawl down the wall, so I'm going to put one there. Bugs also love to spawn on the ceilings and then find ways to crawl down to you, so I put one on that pillar, and here I'm going to plug up this ammo drop hole to prevent any bugs from coming from up there. So now they have to spawn in spots that are a little bit more visible to us. I'm already getting value out of these mines. They're letting me know that bugs are spawning in different places. It's also thwarting their attempts to get to us because the explosions scare bugs away for a brief bit. It's another very helpful thing about them. As well as the deep core, the secondary weapon, the grenade launcher, does scare bugs away. So anything that isn't killed by the explosion will flee for a few seconds. Gives you and your turret time to deal with them. just keeping an eye on the different avenues of approach here. I'm just trying to control the area, secure the flanks. I don't want any bugs sneaking up on anybody from a weird direction. Like that one. So I've noticed that 2 of my my mines are still up, but one of them has been used up. Some good value here out of the deep core. Now here I'm going to flee. There's too many bugs. I can't deal with those that quickly. Again, this is where the tons of ammo for the deep core comes into play. When refilling your turret, don't get trapped thinking you have to refill it all the way. I only refilled it a little bit, got back in the shield for safety, and then when the coast is clear, I go out and fill the turret back up all the way. Don't want to put myself in danger just to give it extra ammo. It doesn't need to have full ammo to be effective. So here, tap the drop pod button a few times just for fun. Make sure everybody's ready. Here, I just wait an extra second to make sure everybody's ready. And then now we're going to extract. Now, extraction is weird for engineers because you can't set up your turret, really. You can't plop down grenades, really. So you're kind of reduced to just your primary and secondary ammo for this part. If your driller makes a tunnel to the drop pod instead of just walking, you can set up stuff in the tunnel, and that's very helpful. But here, we have to follow Molly because of low oxygen. We can't make our own tunnel back. We have to just run behind Molly's big butt so we can keep our oxygen up. So that's going to impose some challenges. Go ahead, stop and pet Steve there when you get a chance. And often during the extraction process, it's hard to use your deep core grenade launcher because your allies are all around you as well as yourself, like moving through these narrow tunnels. So it's hard to get value out of that when you're going to hit your allies.
Go, go, go! Let there be light! Light is up! Ow! That hurt! I'm taking some of the ammo.
So here Molly's going to use her powers of walking up walls to be annoying so we can't get our oxygen. At this moment, we all end up kind of splitting up and finding our own way up here, but we will reconvene. Fortunately, ammo pods that you've left behind count for oxygen, so you can stop for a second. The reason I blasted that single bug there with that deep core is because they tend to spawn in little packs, and I knew that that wall was pretty thin, so I could actually hit the one on this side with the deep core, and there was a pretty good chance that bugs on the other side were going to take some damage as well. There I tossed a mine down because that was a really narrow little corner, and anybody following us would be stopped by that mine. And seeing as how the driller and gunner were behind me, that was a pretty good move to kind of help keep them protected. So I'm about halfway out of oxygen, so I know I gotta either catch up with Molly or find some other oxygen source.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 3 minutes.
Here I try to make some platforms to jump to. I don't know why I didn't just use the zip line, but I guess I just didn't see it. So this is an important part. Now, bugs love to spawn in the little crevices next to the drop pod. So that's a good spot for a mine, and I'll show you where the other good spot is in a second. It's also good to build your turret here because bugs will just spawn all over the drop pod until you actually leave. Right inside there. They love spawning in those two gaps on the either side of the doorway. See, they're just spawning right on top of the mines. Smash this Praetorian down real quick. Try to get around the driller and then get in the pod. So I just wanted to show off here really quickly that you can see here by the end of this I had an incredible number of kills, and we got a ton of experience and a ton of loot out of this, and this was in fact a has-5 low oxygen mission, so normally pretty dangerous, but everybody played really well, and kudos to all these fine folks who assisted me here in this video. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching this little area control engineer tutorial video on Deep Rock Galactic. If you haven't played the game, check it out. It's very, very popular. It's very, very fun. Highly recommend. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see everybody in my next video.